Hi, welcome everyone this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world, of course. I wanted to firstly introduce you to our lovely new Shellin, who's just joined us. We're so delighted to have you, Shellin.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. I'm thrilled to be back. I had about an 18-month journey into Salesforce recruiting and had a chance to really learn what recruiters and hiring managers are looking for, which lines right up into this conversation today around pivoting careers. So thank you for the introduction. I'm so happy to be back and excited for our chat today.
That's lovely. And as I say, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you the last week, and obviously many more years to come, I hope. So looking forward to that. So in terms of the conversation tonight, please feel free to put any comments in the chat that you would like to ask, and we will do our best to answer you. Today's conversation is going to be around pivoting your career. So if you're thinking about a possible career change, then it would be nice to speak to you personally. So please feel free to book some time with us. We have dropped a link again into the chat. So if you want to book some time, you can book a session. We can have a coffee and a chat and talk about our training courses. Or if you want something to drill down a little bit deeper, we can go into things, career goals and aspirations in a bit more detail for you. So hopefully between us, we can take you to where you want to be. So I wanted to start this morning, I keep saying this evening, but you might not be at the evening, with coming from previously, for me, I pivoted my career and came into Salesforce after being an end user with a company selling property. So I was selling new build. You've probably heard me say this a few times before, but I decided that I wanted to change. I wanted to change it up, and I absolutely loved Salesforce. So that seemed like a great path to me. So I want to get you to think about, in my world, the job roles within Salesforce and how I would look at them in terms of buildings. So first of all, I wanted to say that if you were thinking about going in business analyst, so I would look at that and maybe being a sort of architect role, somebody that likes to ask questions, likes to listen to the answers, and transfer them. So would you agree, Shellin, with that? Is that how you would see a business analyst?
Yes, yeah, often, absolutely. It's that big picture and planning.
Absolutely, yes, of course. And then, of course, you come over to the Salesforce admin. So the Salesforce admin in my world is probably the builder, building everything in Salesforce, of course, in terms of system. But in my world, we're looking at building houses. So, so you'd think about them being the brickie and making the house into a shell, if you like, ready for the next stage, which would likely be the Salesforce developer, who would come in a bit like your plumber and your electrician to do all the technical bits. Are you in agreement with that, Shellin?
Yeah, and I think that admin role has that ongoing connection of the care and nurturing and improvements of the home as well.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the project manager, which again is another role that you can go into. I mean, that's self-explanatory. A project manager is a project manager, I think, wherever you are. So they would manage the project, they would manage the budget. So all of the project manager, again, I think it's about thinking for yourself where you would fit in, what type of roles would work for you. I mean, I know I'm going off on a tangent about house building, but I'm just hoping that it will give you a bit of an insight into the thought process of how these roles roll out, if you like. So in terms of a Salesforce consultant, so that's more of a hybrid role that, you know, can cover all of these things. So, you know, they can do a role. I mean, I would always suggest that from a personal perspective, if you know the back end of the system, so you're already admin certified, which is obviously really important, being a consultant, you can actually cover all aspects of the job. I think, Shellen, have you got anything to say for that?
Yeah, I think that consulting role is a really interesting one for those of us who are career pivoters, because it can be so flexible in terms of the skills that you bring, those transferable skills, the type of work that you do, and being able to consult in just a variety of ways. So I think it's a really unique part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously back to your account or solution engineer. I mean, they're going to be your estate agent. So, you know, they're going to be doing the help to sell the house and, you know, all of the other side of it. And then, of course, you come back again. The admin is going to be the caretaker moving forward as well. So in terms of, you know, when we move away from the house, that was just an analogy that I wanted to put together for you. But the Salesforce admin will stay following the rollout of the system, and although they will be there at the beginning and they will set everything up, they will be there moving forward, and be there for helping with anything really, the security side. You know, anybody new that comes on board, they'll be there to set them up and give them the permissions that they need to run the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from that framework of just looking at all the types of roles, I think the Salesforce world, there's so much opportunity, growth, income, flexibility, all the positives that many of us are looking for. But sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming about where to even start. And I love that you shared that piece of the different types of roles, and really thinking about what are you innately talented and inclined to do, what you want to do, how you want to spend your time. And I think that framework's so important, because within each of the types of roles, you could have a completely different experience. And I think for Lynn, you and I have this benefit of working with hundreds of people that have gone through the programs, and many of whom are career pivoters, and seeing what works really well and perhaps what works less effectively. And then my most recent experience in the recruiting side of what recruiters and hiring managers are looking for, and the challenges when people make a career pivot. And I think there's a few things that we see individuals have a lot of success with, and that's getting really clear about yourself first. And I don't know about you, Lynn, in terms of your pivot story, and we'd love to hear a little bit about that. But I think that piece of evaluating, why are you wanting to pivot? And for many people, it's to get away from something. They don't like how their life is right now, their work life, or that blend for many of us. Or they're really looking to go towards something, and they're really clear about what they want to go towards. So what was your pivot like? What really inspired you to make the change?
I think for me, as we said previously, I think I was in property. I did that for 15 years. I did a lot of driving within my role. I used to leave at 6 a.m, drive a couple of hours to get to, you know, where I needed to be. And then I was getting home at 8 o'clock in the evening. So it was very long days. I worked for 15 years on weekends. And do you know what? Having a Saturday off now is such a pleasure. I didn't realize what it was like to have a Saturday off. So, you know, from doing that, I think that was my initial thought. I wanted to go into Salesforce because I absolutely loved it as an end user. And I think we speak to a lot of people that I think because they're end users and they enjoy the system, that's why they want to pivot away and move into it. Just to add to that, not just about me, obviously sometimes, although pivoting is often a choice, it's not always a choice. So quite often somebody will be, for example, made redundant. They lose their confidence, they're not feeling like they're worthy. And I think sometimes you're forced into doing something different. But sometimes it can be the best thing in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a customer, a Salesforce customer, and I was in sales leadership. And so my role was very different, but I was a mother to young twins and I was missing their life and couldn't figure out what to do that would balance being paid well. I was the sole provider and needed a hefty income, but provided some flexibility and allow me to be plugged into my children's lives, and I loved Salesforce, and it was really inspiring to see the transformation that it made at the company I was with when we brought it on. And I went down the path of learning and realized very quickly that hiring managers weren't as impressed with my certification and background as I thought. And that's how I found Supermoms and learned from Heather, who founded the organization, about the importance of having those clear transferable skills and leaning into the path that you have. If you're going to pivot into a completely new role, let's say you want to be a Salesforce project manager, you don't have that specific experience, but you have project management background in something like teaching, right? And that the education field, that pivot can work so much better if you lean into opportunities that are that Salesforce project management, but within the sector that is value, that you bring that value, whether it's your network, your skills, your experience, and move that into your pivot can be really effective.
I totally agree. And I think, for me, as you said, I mean, that's how I found Supermoms. I'm actually still doing the course. So I signed up for the May cohort of the Ultimate Admin, and I'm still on that now. So again, if you want to chat to me about that, the link is in the chat. So please feel free to book some time with us. As I say, you might just want a chat and just have a couple of questions, but because we've both been down the same road of doing training sessions, we're definitely the people to talk to, because we've been there and done it. So I haven't got the t-shirt yet though.
I think that ability to be plugged in and know how to create a pivot path over time is so important too, because sometimes that you're here and you know where you want to go, but it's just can be a waste of time and money and energy to try and figure it out. It's great to be able to know, here's the steps that we can take. Here's people who can help. Here's the community that's in place. How can we identify what skills and experience? And then how can we showcase that? I think that's a mistake that people often make, is they discount all of their amazing talents, what they're bringing to the table, whether it's from paid employment or for many in our community, they've taken some time to be, focused on their family. There's so many important skills and attributes that you can bring forward and really show off and showcase and effectively use with resumes and on LinkedIn and communicating in interviews, of being able to not shy away from the fact that, yes, you don't have necessarily experience in this new pivot area, but you have so many things that you can look at in terms of what are the requirements and skills. And I think that's an important piece, is to dive in and look at job descriptions and do informational interviews and ask people, like, what does a week in your life look like? Because I think when we're pivoting, sometimes we imagine what it's going to be like, but we may not actually know what that job entails on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, to add to that, I think it's important not to, when you think about your transferable skills, again, that's where we can help you to talk about career progression and how you want to take it. Because, it is a journey, whatever way you look at it. I know that that's a bit cliche, because I often say journey. but your career journey is so important to you. And it might be that there's something that specifically you like to do. Well, you can transfer that into a role within Salesforce quite easily. You know, there's so many different roles out there that, you know, you might fit one and you might not fit another. So, you know, it's definitely worth thinking about and talking about. It's good to talk. It's always good to talk. So, you know, if you want to spend some time and do a little bit of study, I have put a link to the website. There's some really good stuff on there. You'll see there's some good videos there that Heather's done. So again, you know, that's definitely worth watching. Watch her story because that's really inspiring.
I agree. That's for me when I first started looking through the videos on the website of like people like me or in similar situations that successfully made the pivot. That was really inspiring, seeing that people were quickly able to get promotions and move closer towards what they were looking for. That was really helpful with my confidence that I was going to make a move that I could actually use for this whole next season. And one of the things I appreciate so much about the Salesforce ecosystem is you can grow and change and develop and try new things and gain new skills without having to make a whole nother pivot. So there's so much good opportunity. And I think, you know, the pandemic was certainly a challenge in so many ways, but for many of us who want that well-paid, flexible work, it was transformative in terms of the number of available opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, I think I'm right in saying 97% of the Fortune 500 use Salesforce. So, you know, there are so many roles that are out there and that are coming. I mean, again, you know, just quoting a figure there, they're saying, I think another 9.3 million job roles by 2026. So, you know, it's a huge industry to be in. And when you get into it, it's so addictive.
Yes, I would agree. Absolutely. And I think it's exciting to see what's happening and how easy it is to get information and upskill and continuous education. And for me, one of the important pieces with pivoting is the time of where you're going to invest your time and money and emphasis. And I wish I could go back when I first made my pivot because I felt like I could do this. Like I know how to study and slug and all of that. And it turned out that wasn't as easy as I thought. And being able to actually have a program that was hands-on, there was mentoring, there was teaching, it changed everything really for me. And I've noticed that with a lot of other folks as well, is being able to, it's the next best thing to actually having that employment experience is that practical hands-on and some work experience. So thank you for the note, Charlotte, about not seeing any links. We'll repost those. For some reason, we organize them on the front to get them posted, but here we go. We'll get those reposted.
Reposted, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've put it on the screen so you can see the Calendly link now. And I will also add the website link because it's definitely worth having a look in the website. Let me just add that a second. If I could spell supermum.org, there you go. So that's easy to see, and hopefully you can see the link. Can you see the link on the screen, Shellin?
I can, yes.
Perfect.
Yes,
that's
perfect.
Okay, that's good. So, I mean, other than Charlotte, and welcome, Charlotte. Nice to meet you, even if it's virtually. Has anybody got any questions at all?
Any good advice of things that really helped you with your own career pivots or perhaps challenges? I've really appreciated sort of walking this path with a lot of the folks in our community and seeing what works well for them. And I'd say one important thing is really tapping into and building your network. And for those of you in the community, this season is a really exciting one because Dreamforce is coming up in just about 4 weeks. And right now, if you aren't on LinkedIn, please establish a profile. If you are, this is a great time to be engaging and certainly connect with Lynn and I. We'll be very active and just tap into Dreamforce. Salesforce Plus has many of the sessions on, and you can plug in and watch those. And we will certainly have our community doing some watch parties and really networking and leveraging this season as well. So it's a perfect time for those of us pivoting to plug in and really see what's possible and hear some of the stories and some of the customer journeys. And for me, that was like incredible. And back to the real estate industry, that was in 2019. One of the sessions was about the transformation of mortgages and the access using Salesforce on mobile. And I just couldn't believe it, having done that sales process with the house, not that far in the past, and what a mess that was. I was so inspired of the projects that they were working on, and what's happened since 2019 is almost staggering. So get inspired, plug in for sure. It's a great time.
I think mortgages, well, anything these days, I think that's a whole new conversation, isn't it? I mean, I think for everyone financially, again, if you can get into the Salesforce ecosystem as well, not only are you going to have your work-life balance, but the financial stability is massive for everyone, especially at the moment. I don't know what it's like in the US, but I could tell you about it over here. As I say, it's a whole nother conversation for that.
Yes. But I think that having skills and having a network when these times, show up and we have maybe more instability, financial instability or work disruption, it's so much easier to pivot and plug in because you have skills that are needed and people have to run their systems. And the pandemic pushed that forward so fast. Part of why some of the growth has happened is companies that just hadn't invested now were scrambling to put things in place to stay in touch with their customers and nurture their prospects and work with their employees. And so all of that still has to continue. And if you have those skills, you are much more marketable, and that you can, as things change and AI is entering our life and there's a lot that's going to be changing around that. It's like having skills.
So exciting.
Yeah, exciting and a little scary for people, especially if you're pivoting, thinking like, what am I pivoting into? Is it going to stay relevant? This is a great space to be in because it will stay relevant. Your niche may need to change, but your ability to upskill and stay involved. And Salesforce does offer so many things that are, free and accessible in the community so that you can really invest your money and time in very concentrated ways that move you forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, for all of us, it's, CRM is what it says on the tin, customer relationship management. It's just, I think companies everywhere, and more to follow, it's a really growing business. And I think for, mums that are returning back after perhaps, some time out with the children, as you did, Shellin, or, even older people. I mean, no, I don't like to say older people. I like to say mature people with more experience. So, I've got grandchildren and I get so much more time with them, which is, amazing. And of course, you with your younger children as well. Everyone, mums and dads, all ends of the spectrum. I think it's just definitely the thing to get into for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think taking that time to really think about, while you're pivoting or while you're exploring that, you have the moment to think through what are your skills? What do people give you compliments about when you've had reviews or customer feedback? What do people tend to tell you you're, gifted at? And Lynn, you and I were talking about this earlier. Sometimes people will give you a compliment and you'll like, oh no, it was nothing. Well, often that's a great sign of those innate talents and things that you're just meant to do, is it feels like nothing to you, but some other people can see it because it isn't easy for them. Those are going to be really great ways to have part of your day leaning into what you're just meant to do and gifted. And then what kind of culture you want to be a part of. Do you want to be, everyone was work from home for a long time, that flexibility. Well, I'm one of those people that's kind of shifted back, not by mandate, I kind of missed being in an environment. And so that was, those kinds of things. Where do you thrive? Do you want to be part of a big organization where you have tons of resources, or do you want to be part of a small organization where you can wear different hats and be involved in a different way? To just give some thought to that, because that career pivot, many people will sometimes imagine what they want, but then they get there, it's not what they imagined that it was going to be like. And right now you have the chance to really explore and talk to people who are actually doing the jobs, find out what helped them get there, that if they could go back, what would they do differently? And I think it's just such a fun time to explore and bring that energy of excitement as well, because sometimes it can be fearful of just kind of getting your community around you and keep the energy high.
Absolutely. I think, in terms of exploration, you've got to explore every avenue. So, as Shellin said, do all of your research, have a look at our website, see what jobs are out there. We do have a recruitment arm as well. So again, sign up and, see what jobs are around. Join LinkedIn if you're not on there. Yes. Shellin has 16,000. I haven't got 1,000 yet, so please bring it to me.
And I mean, that's part of the network, right? That was on purpose. And when I started with my Salesforce pivot, I knew one person, and his name's Mark. I knew one person at Salesforce, and my former network didn't transfer very well. And I really had to lean in and build that network. But that's one of the things that you can do. And being part of a community, I have to tell you, being part of Supermoms and being able to approach people in that way, it's an incredible mission. And it made it easy for people to say yes and connect. So I'd say also lean into that. Like, at the top of LinkedIn, put Supermoms and see who comes up and reach out to us, because we're happy to connect with you and support you and just include you in things that we're doing and experiences that we're having.
Do you know what? On the back of that, I will finish up shortly. I know we like to talk, but on the back of that, Salesforce in itself, I went to World Tour in London, so it was really nice to see there's no community like it in the world. I really believe that. And then, of course, Supermoms is another community unto itself. And, even walking around World Tour, everybody knew who Supermoms was. I had a Supermoms jacket and everybody knew who we were. And it's just amazing to be part of two really amazing communities. And I've never met anybody so helpful. Everyone just wants you to succeed, and they want you to get all the knowledge that you can. So I think from us, we'll be back again next week. So if you want to listen to us again, we'd love to talk. If you'd like to talk to us in the interim, you've got our Calendly underneath there. I've put it on the front of the screen. And, genuinely, we would absolutely love to help you to pivot, to do something different within your career. And we're here to help you. Oh, hang on 1 second. We've got something from Charlotte again. She said, my key takeaway in the ecosystem so far is that company needs to sell their attributes as much as we do as applicants. Ask them questions about their company in some detail. Okay, thank you, Charlotte, for that. Thank you.
I really agree with that. And I think that's something that for those that may be participating, that are hiring or have a team, like spending time from a company or a leader, having a brand and sharing your company and what's unique is so smart on LinkedIn, social media, so that people get to know you and your organization are excited to work for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Shellen. It's been really lovely to talk to you today. I'm sure that we'll get to talk to whoever else is listening. And thank you for listening today. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Sounds good. See you then.
Take care. Bye.